Democrats have finally gotten one piece of good news. There was a special election in Pennsylvania, and Democrats flipped a state Senate seat that, according to the Dems, has not been held by them since 1978.
That district went MAGA red in 2024 by 15 points.
Pennsylvania Democratic Party Chair Sharif Street released the following statement, cooing. Congratulations, Pennsylvania Democrats. Your dedication and hard work have led to incredible victories in the House District 35, Allegheny County, and Senate District 36, Lancaster County special elections. Democrats outperformed by more than double compared to past elections. These accomplishments not only reflect the trust and support of our communities, but also ensure that Speaker Joanna McClinton maintains her leadership in the House, and we delivered a massive upset to flip a seat held by Republicans for 46 years. Let's continue this momentum and build a brighter future together.
But this is still a state race. It only impacts the people of Pennsylvania. As the Dems face defeat after defeat, the leadership is willing, maybe even desperate, to hold on to any glimmer of hope. In what is a short political lifespan, the midterms are right around the corner.
Could these results be telling in terms of gauging pushback against the Trump administration?
Or is it just a lot of hyperventilating? Yeah, I'm like, wow, a whole state Senate seat. Great job, guys.
It's Pennsylvania.
Congratulations.
You know Pennsylvania is important.
It is, but it goes to highlight a totally inverted dynamic between the Republican and Democratic Party.
Sure.
For years, it was the case that highly motivated voters are Republicans. The people who show up in special elections are more likely to lean that way, and Democrats are because Democrats are the party of the masses, so they want everybody voting. So weird off-season elections or elections occurring at some weird time where working people have better things to do, like their jobs, are a harder sell for them. Now that dynamic is completely inverted. It's flipped, whereas the most highly motivated, educated, more elite voters tend to be Democratic, so they're showing up to cast their anti-Trump ballot whenever. You can schedule the election for 2 in the morning on a holiday, and they will show up to vote. Whereas Republicans are the party of the masses. If everybody votes, the turnout is much higher actually on the normally scheduled election day. That benefits the Republicans. So that's what I think is interesting, and what is indicative here. Not necessarily a trend in terms of everybody's going to show up to vote for Democrats, but if you hold elections at weird times, it benefits the Democratic Party more than it used to.
It's true that historically, off-cycle and special election demographics have been usually whiter, more conservative, older, and we're seeing some shifts in that. But as a former deep campaign operative, I will tell you that I see some serious warning signs here for the Trump administration and the MAGA movement. And part of that is it is again a Trump administration. And the last time we had Donald Trump in the White House, we saw similar dynamics in the off year and special elections, where you saw huge outcry and support for Democratic candidates in, for example, Virginia races, which then ultimately ended up being a harbinger for a 40-seat loss in the midterm election. So if I'm a responsible Republican Party, I'm taking a look at this and thinking, hey, what happened in a district that had this wide of a R margin previously?
Right. Trump is a radicalizing figure in some ways. He inspires a lot of Democratic opposition. He motivates highly affluent, educated Democrats to turn out to vote against him at all times. He also is well-liked within the Republican Party and inspires a lot of enthusiasm among Republicans as well. So it's I used to think that, if Republicans could just get some candidate other than Trump, if the very Trumpy wing of the party would let Republicans just have anyone else with an R next to their name, they would be winning landslides. But the 2024 election showed me that that's not true, because Trump, unlike in 2020 and I think 2016, Trump ran ahead of other Republicans who were on the ballot, right? Trump won in places where the Republican Senate candidate lost, right? That was true in Michigan, and that was true in Arizona. And other places. So Trump is actually, while simultaneously being very disliked by Democrats, is so popular in the Republican Party that it creates a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, I think both parties should learn the lesson. Certainly, the Democratic Party should learn the lesson that demographics are not destiny, and you shouldn't take for granted any of the base. I will say one other important element of all of this is that the Pennsylvania governor, Josh Shapiro, has sued the Trump administration for $2 billion worth of federal resources that were granted to the state that have been withheld. And so hanging on to the majority in the state house may seem like a very local issue, but it shores up his ability to continue to advocate for those kinds of things.
I obviously don't know anything about this winning state Senate candidate, who I'd never heard the name of before until this became a thing recently. But is it the case that they ran on, I assume, a very moderate platform of, we're really down with reforming the government and making necessary cuts, but this is just chaos and Trump's overreaching? That was the kind of messaging they went with, I assume?
Well, I'm actually not familiar with what they campaigned on, but
that's the message. I bet that's the message.
That probably is the
Right.
message. Especially
Now we're going to resist everything at all.
And
yeah.
the locations where these races took place, for sure. I think that that's probably part of it.
It was not Jasmine Crockett style
we got a whole
foul-mouthed
conversation about
attacks
those
on
dynamics.
Republicans.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
Look, I think it's important that we pay attention to these kinds of things. You're right to say that we can't get super excited about everything so far, especially given that the Republican Party still has the trifecta in Washington, D.C. But look, it's not surprising that people are looking at this as a positive. And the other thing is that from a party building and political infrastructure perspective, it is always important to build the bench and to have Democratic leaders that are ready to step up into higher office in the future. So that's another thing that Democrats can really look forward to.
Next up, in an exclusive interview, we have with Representative Jim Jordan on the courts. You won't want to miss it. Stay with us.